Welcome to Mind Decoded, where we explore the psychology behind human behavior. Let's decode today's topic. You're lying in bed replaying a conversation from 3 days ago, analyzing every word you said, every facial expression they made, wondering if you came across wrong, creating elaborate narratives about what they're thinking. You know this is pointless. You know you're torturing yourself. But you can't stop, or you're facing a decision. Should you take the job? Should you end the relationship? You've made lists. You've analyzed pros and cons. You've researched for hours, and you still can't decide. Because what if you choose wrong? What if you miss something? This is overthinking, and it's not careful analysis. It's not being thorough. It's your brain stuck in a loop that feels productive but accomplishes nothing. The more you think, the more confused you become. The more options you consider, the less confident you feel. And meanwhile, you're paralyzed. Unable to act. Unable to move forward. Unable to let go. Here's what's actually happening in your brain when you overthink. And more importantly, what actually works to break the cycle and make decisions with confidence. Today on Mind Decoded, we're tackling overthinking and analysis paralysis. Why your brain gets stuck in these loops. What makes some people more prone to overthinking than others. And the specific strategies that actually work to stop the spiral. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. This content is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered medical, psychological, or mental health advice. If you're experiencing mental health concerns, please consult with a qualified mental health professional. Let's start by understanding what overthinking actually is. Overthinking is your prefrontal cortex working overtime without producing useful output. You're generating thoughts, but not solutions. Psychologist Susan Nolan Hoeksema identified it as rumination. Rumination is repetitive thinking about problems without moving toward resolution. Your brain analyzes the same information repeatedly, finding new angles to worry about, but never reaching conclusions. This happens because your brain perceives uncertainty as a threat. When you don't know what will happen or what decision is correct, your amygdala registers danger. Your prefrontal cortex tries to eliminate the uncertainty by thinking through every possible scenario. But most situations have genuine uncertainty that cannot be eliminated through thinking. You cannot know what someone else is truly thinking. You cannot predict all consequences of a decision. The uncertainty is real, and no amount of analysis will remove it. So your brain keeps trying. It runs scenario after scenario. It asks what if, what if, what if. But that certainty doesn't exist. And the thinking never ends. Research shows that chronic overthinkers have heightened activity in the default mode network of the brain. This network activates when you're not focused on external tasks. In overthinkers, this network doesn't quiet down properly. This is why overthinking often happens at night. There's no external stimulation. Your default mode network takes over. And suddenly you're replaying every embarrassing moment or catastrophizing about everything that could go wrong. Now let's talk about why some people overthink more than others. Several factors increase overthinking tendencies. High trait anxiety makes you more likely to perceive situations as threatening. Your brain is hypervigilant for potential problems. So you analyze excessively trying to prevent bad outcomes. Perfectionism drives overthinking because you're seeking the perfect decision. Since perfection doesn't exist, you can never reach a conclusion that satisfies your standards. Low tolerance for uncertainty makes ambiguous situations feel intolerable. You need to know. You need to be sure. So you think and think trying to achieve certainty that doesn't exist. Here's what makes overthinking so destructive. It doesn't just waste time. It actively makes decision-making worse. Psychologist Barry Schwartz describes the paradox of choice. When you analyze too many factors, decision quality decreases. You become less satisfied with whatever you choose because you're hyper-aware of what you're giving up. Overthinking also depletes your mental energy. When you spend hours overthinking one decision, you have less mental resources for everything else. And overthinking increases anxiety rather than reducing it. The more you ruminate about potential problems, the more anxious you feel. This anxiety then drives more overthinking. So how do you actually stop overthinking? Let's go through strategies backed by research. Strategy 1. Set a decision deadline. Overthinking thrives on unlimited time. Your brain will use whatever time you give it to keep analyzing. So impose an artificial deadline. For small decisions, give yourself 5 minutes. For medium decisions, give yourself 24 hours. For major life decisions, give yourself 1 week. When the deadline arrives, you make the decision with whatever information you have. This forces closure. Strategy 2. Limit your information gathering. Overthinkers believe more information leads to better decisions. Research shows this is false beyond a certain point. For most decisions, you have enough information after considering 3 to 5 key factors. Additional research doesn't improve decision quality. It just increases overwhelm. So set a limit. 3 options maximum. 5 factors maximum. Then decide. Strategy 3. Externalize your thoughts. When thoughts loop in your head, they feel bigger and more complicated than they are. Getting them out of your brain reduces their power. Write down exactly what you're overthinking about. The specific worries, the different scenarios, the decision factors. Once it's on paper, you can see it objectively. Often you'll realize the thoughts are repetitive or irrational in ways you couldn't see while they were internal. Strategy 4. Distinguish between problem solving and rumination. Problem solving moves toward action. Rumination goes nowhere. Ask yourself, is this thinking leading to a decision or action? If yes, continue. If no, it's rumination. Stop. Redirect your attention. Strategy 5. Use the 10-10-10 rule. When overthinking a decision, ask how you'll feel about it in 10 minutes, 10 months, and 10 years. Most decisions that consume hours of overthinking won't matter in 10 years. This perspective helps you right-size the importance. Strategy 6. Accept that no decision is perfect. Perfectionism drives analysis paralysis. You're searching for the option with 0 downsides. It doesn't exist. Every decision involves trade-offs. Every choice means giving up alternatives. The goal isn't finding the perfect option. It's finding a good enough option and committing to making it work. Psychologist Herbert Simon introduced the concept of satisficing. Instead of optimizing, you satisfice. You identify your minimum criteria for acceptable. When you find an option that meets those criteria, you choose it. You stop analyzing. Strategy 7. Schedule worry time. Set aside 15 minutes each day specifically for overthinking and worrying. When intrusive thoughts appear throughout the day, tell yourself you'll think about this during worry time. Write it down. Then redirect your attention. When worry time arrives, you can think about everything you postponed. Often by then, the thoughts have lost their urgency. This works because it gives your brain permission to think later while protecting the rest of your day from constant rumination. Strategy 8. Practice decisiveness with low-stakes choices. Overthinking is a habit. You've trained your brain to analyze excessively. You can retrain it by practicing quick decisions on unimportant things. What to eat for lunch. Decide in 30 seconds. Which movie to watch. Decide in 1 minute. What to wear. Decide in 2 minutes. Build the neural pathway of making choices quickly without agonizing. This skill transfers to bigger decisions. Now here's what these strategies don't do. They don't eliminate all uncertainty. They don't guarantee your decisions will turn out perfectly. Life involves uncertainty and risk. Good decision-making isn't about eliminating those things. It's about acting despite them. It's about making reasonable choices with imperfect information and dealing with consequences as they arise. If overthinking severely interferes with your daily functioning, this might indicate an anxiety disorder or OCD that needs professional treatment. You're not broken because you overthink. You're not stupid because you struggle with decisions. You have a brain that's trying to protect you by analyzing threats. It's just overreacting to uncertainty. Overthinking feels like careful consideration. It feels responsible, but it's actually avoidance disguised as analysis. You're avoiding the discomfort of uncertainty by pretending more thinking will eliminate it. The antidote to overthinking isn't perfect information. It's accepting imperfect information and choosing anyway. It's building tolerance for uncertainty. It's trusting yourself to handle whatever consequences arise. Next time on Mind Decoded, we're exploring how habits actually form in your brain. The 3-step loop that every habit follows. Why some behaviors become automatic while others never stick. And how to use this knowledge to build the habits you want. Don't miss it. And that's how the mind works. If this helped you understand yourself better, subscribe for weekly psychology insights. Thanks for watching.